Our first session focuses on 3 presentations about building the tools of artificial intelligence from 3 successful builders and evaluators of AI technology. Karl Wirth is CEO of Nimbalyst, a company with technology which allows workers to manage teams of AI agents. Previously, he built a company called Evergage, which leveraged machine learning to personal websites, mobile apps, and email to allow companies to market more effectively. Evergage a few years ago was acquired by Salesforce and became the fastest growing acquisition in Salesforce history. Karl has served also in many leadership and advisory roles in other leading technology firms. Karl's talk is entitled AI and the Changing Nature of Work. Please join me in welcoming Karl Wirth.
Thank you. I'm glad to be talking with you today. And as Scott shared, I'll be sharing from my perspective leading my latest company, where for the past year, I've been working 10 hours a day or more with teams of agents and talking with many people who are trying to do the same. So in some sense, I have a little bit of glimpse to the future because I think we'll all be working with teams of AI agents. And I just want to talk to you from that perspective and how work has changed and will change. So I'm going to give you 5 different observations about that changing nature of work. And the first one is that AI is a catalyst that provides the activation energy, if you remember your chemistry for a chemical reaction, the activation energy that's needed for you to learn new things and do higher quality of work. Things you wanted to learn anyway, higher quality of work you wanted to do anyway, but you never had enough energy to do it. And now with AI, you can. And so here's an example of learning new things. This is a classic diagram that you do in chemistry class for that. You have the reactants, you want to get to the products, but it takes energy to get there and you don't have enough. There's this hump to get over. And one example from my own life is I used to code, but it's been about 20, 25 years since I've coded. And whenever I thought about getting back into coding, the activation energy was just too high. I had to learn all sorts of details and I would try it and I couldn't get the environment right. But now with AI, I'm coding again because I have a tutor that's stepping me along at every step of the way. And you could say, oh no, I thought what would happen would be AI would just do everything for you. And of course it can code for me, but I'm finding myself learning to code because I have a tutor that's stepping me along. That's one example. It also helps you to do higher quality work. So same diagram here. Now I'm thinking about a company. I'm thinking about my own company. I work with a group of very talented, excellent individuals. We want to do the right thing, but like all people, we're kind of lazy, and it's hard to do the right thing. Some examples of that. This is coding language, but we want to do test-driven development. It's the right way to work. You write a test, then you write your code, and then you check to make sure that your code matches the test, and then you iterate. That's, of course, how you should do it, but it's boring to write tests. And so you don't. You just code. And then you kind of hope it works, and that's the way even large software companies end up working. It's just too hard to do the tests. We are now, all of us, doing test-driven development completely. Why? Because the AI writes the test for us, and it keeps the test up to date as we work. Very similar story with documentation. The right way to write code, and I think to do many things in work, is you should document what you intend to do. You write it down. Then you actually go and do it. As you do it, you keep your document of what you're going to do matching with what you did. And at the end, you should have one artifact that describes everything very well. Nobody does that because we're lazy. That's a lot of work. I just want to go do the thing. I don't want to keep the documentation up to date. We have perfect documentation now because as we work, the AI is keeping the documentation up to date with us. So that means we are actually doing much higher quality work than we've ever done together with AI. So some positives there. I just got timed out here. Yeah, and so a few other examples of that just quickly. Doing more research. Before I do anything, I'm able to do much more research than I used to because I can just ask Claude to go and do it, and it does research. I check my work. I look at the copy of whatever I'm writing and make sure it's better. I keep things at a consistent standard. we're able to just with one / command, say, hey, AI, whenever I write a blog post, whenever I do this or that, check it against these 10 things, and it does and checks it. So the consistency and standard is raised up for me, but also for everyone on my team and for everyone. And lastly, I'm able to experiment a lot more. It's quicker to try things, so I can try and fail 5 times, and by that, refine my idea better. So it is possible, and we hear a lot about the concern that AI is going to come and take a lot of jobs, and I am worried about that. But on the positive side, I see AI up-leveling each person, all of humanity, if they wish, in terms of their skills and the quality of their work. So it's strange that I would talk about the better quality of work when there's so much AI slop out there. I don't know if that word translates for those, but slop is like junk, just AI, just garbage that it's throwing out all over the place. And we see that on social media or whatever we're reading. And this gets me to my second point, which is that I've been watching AI increase the gap between the motivated and the lazy. And again, I do worry about AI increasing the gap between the strong and the weak, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it definitely increases the gap between the motivated and the lazy. And if the weak or the poor are motivated, this may offer some hope. So of course there's a temptation to be lazy with AI. There are many people who are willing to sell their birthright for a bowl of porridge. So just, I want to get this essay done. Hey, AI, write this talk for me. I don't feel like writing it. And I could just do that and sell my birthright. But what I am seeing is that the motivated and the curious actually get their skills and their growth rate increased. It's a lot the last point that I just made. If you're motivated, you can up-level with AI. But what happens with the lazy or the fatalistic, and I think that's a big worry because we're being told over and over again that, oh, AI is just going to take over our jobs, it's going to be way smarter than you ever. So I talk to my kids and other people, why should I even try? And if you get into that cycle, this is what happens for you, is that you actually have AI write the whole talk, in this case, or do my homework for me, and then I learn nothing. And so I may be upskilled a little bit, but I'm actually learning less over time. So there's going to be this bifurcation of people who are upskilling and people who are de-skilling exactly at the same time by AI. And in the long run, what really matters is the growth rate, right? Even if it's a linear growth rate, if I'm on a higher slope, I'm going to pass the person who's on a lower growth rate. And if it's compounding, which I think it is with AI, a compounding growth rate, then all that matters is growth. Personal growth, growth of your own skills and abilities. So all that matters, in a sense, is your motivation and willingness to get in the game. And so I think that's really important. That said, the smart, the able, the ones with resources, if they're motivated, do get multiplied. So I work with a 10x engineer. He's now a 50x engineer. He's simultaneously coding in 6 languages. No one can touch him. How would you compete against that? That is a challenge. Same with a marketer, same with a business person. You do get multiplied. That's what technology does, is it multiplies. And so what happens? Does this mean that power just accrues to the few? Do the strong get stronger? How do you compete with that? And I think that's certainly a possibility, although my hope is that this fact of motivation being what most matters, in the end, what I'm saying is character is what matters most, the choice, the moral choice to get involved, to learn, to grow, to be humble and have courage. Hopefully that's some hope in this area. All right, the third area, and maybe the most, I think, important one, maybe you might not have experienced yet, that I'm experiencing every day, is that with AI, every person, even the most junior person, becomes a leader and manager of agents. And what I mean by an agent, if you're not familiar with that term, is not AI where I ask it a question and it responds. Like a lot of people use AI like a Google, basically, just to ask a question. But an agent is I say, hey, AI, go do this thing, and it does the thing. Sometimes it goes and does the thing for an hour or 2 hours. It codes the whole thing for me. It's off working. That's what I mean by an agent. So it's able to work for a bunch of time and iterate itself. And this is here today. Many, many organizations are doing it, and my own is as well. And what happens is that you actually, your role as a person in a company switches from being an individual contributor to being a manager or a leader of these agents. And that has some significant implications. Again, one possibility is it means we hire less individual contributors. And I think that's a real worry. On the other hand, it means that the individual contributors, even someone who's just right fresh out of college coming into a job, is now suddenly needing to be a manager or a leader, which is not something they might have done 5, 10, 15 years later in their career. So for those in education, you should be thinking about that now. The skills of managing a person are very translatable to managing an agent, and I'll talk about that right now. So let's talk about what does it mean to be a leader and a manager. One of my mentors said the following: a leader calls people towards a vision, which is an attractive picture of an attainable reality. I really like that. What do we want? Where are we going? Why are we going there? And then a manager is setting expectations, providing structure, giving context, checking in regularly on the work and offering feedback, tracking progress, and keeping you on target for your goals. So that's a leader and a manager of a person. It's directly translatable to working with agents. And these are good things. These are good skills for every person to have and be practicing. So let's consider an example. Suppose I have this lump of marble. I'm in Rome, so I thought this would be a good analogy. Suppose I had this lump of marble, and I'm as a leader, I'm going to say to you, this whole side of the room here, okay, team, I want you to make this into a statue. I want to turn this into some beautiful statue that's going to be presented somewhere. So if I'm a bad leader, I would say to you, turn this rock into a beautiful statue. Okay? Just go for it. And that's how we often interact with AI. Hey, AI, do this or that. If I'm a bad manager, I'd say, well, how's that rock statue project coming along, right? If I'm a good leader, I would give you a specific vision of an attainable reality. And so I would be very specific. This is in AI language, good prompting, or even better, it's context. I would give you deep context about what I want, what has happened in the past, where we're going, et cetera. And likely a good manager would do the same. To do that, I need to actually know something about statues and marble and chiseling of it and the like. And the more I know that, the better I can help you and lead you and instruct you. So again, rather than AI de-skilling me, AI is actually upskilling me, because to instruct the agent, I need to become a master of whatever I'm teaching it. Maybe I don't know all the details, but I think this is an important point, until finally a beautiful statue is shaped. So this is what it looks like to lead and manage AI agents well. And again, I see this as a significant change in work, but hopefully a hopeful one. All right, the fourth one is that AI will break and improve systems and processes, and we'll have to use it and move at its speed. So maybe a positive one and a negative one here. So much of the difficulty and frustration of knowledge work are the processes, systems, and meetings that you have to have. And I think the reason is that in general, these things in companies were not made for man. In companies, man is made for the process, for the meeting, for the bureaucracy. Whereas in reality, these things should be made for men and for women. Your doctor doesn't have time to care for you. He serves the database. He sits there and typing into it, and he never looks at you. AI can help with that. He'll just talk to you, and the voice AI will record it. Much of knowledge work is status meetings and bureaucratic process and typing things into databases and keeping things in sync. Again, AI can fix that. And this is a good thing. And while AI will free us from that slavery to the machine, and I think it's very good, I think in other ways it will enslave us as well at work. Like so many other technologies, we will not have a choice as to whether or not we want to use it. You will have to, or you will be passed by the person who's growing through motivation, as I talked about before. And in terms of speed, AI will speed things up faster and faster. We're already living in a 24/7, you must respond at all times because that's what the machines do kind of world. And AI moves so fast, we will go even faster. I find myself going so fast, and it's difficult and challenging. And then the final point is just to say, I want us to be good leaders and managers of our life and of this world. So all the things that I said, I think apply here as well. We can shape the future of work, and we must lead society away from the extremes towards service. What do we want work to be? I want a future where humans work, where we work with AI, I want that, but we use AI as a tool at the service of humanity. And to get there, we're going to have to avoid temptations of the two extremes. So I had AI help me make this. But this is the Scylla and Charybdis, although I replaced the Scylla with sirens because I thought it was better because it's tempting. And we basically have these two extremes. Are we going to worship people, the great leaders of technology? Are we going to worship work as our be-all and end-all? And are we going to worship AI as some sort of superhuman or God? Or are we going to despise, on the other side, despise the people who are weak, who aren't accelerating, aren't skilling, and just whatever, eliminate their jobs and let's move on? Are we going to despise work as something terrible that we don't want to do and that we should just kind of eliminate? I know that would be a great thing if we all lived on universal basic income, which it would not. Or are we going to fear and despise AI, which I think would be a mistake? There's a lot of good in it. And I want us to take the middle path, which is to worship God, loving people, and serving them with dignity. Worship God in the realm of work, and make work something that provides dignity to people as a means to love and serve others, even though it's difficult. And worship God, making our AI to be just a tool, an application that serves us as we work. So that's my hope for us, and I hope that that's an attractive and attainable picture of reality that we could all work towards.